Oh hey internet, what is up? Welcome back to the Type QQ channel, of which we do things on the internet. We're checking out a game called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, starting a new save file on normal mode with Veteran. Wow. We're going to try our best not to reference Castlevania and how much Konami sucks and how great this game is. I mean, I think we are probably the last Let's Players on YouTube to actually have covered this, but yeah, if you've, watched some videos or followed the channel, aside from the bullet hell BS and, this is sort of in our wheelhouse as well. I certainly like the platformers or the extra hard stuff. Not that I have any ability to conquer it whatsoever, but let's continue on. I stuttered speaking, just normally by myself, so I'm not going to bother reading all this. However, if you would like to, please go at it. Yes, here we go. Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. It originally was a Kickstarter reward for like a stretch goal. So it came out to free supporters of the game that's coming out, and now it's on Steam and other platforms. I'm sure we're playing it on Steam here. And yeah, it's like an NES-inspired prequel to that. So we're going to bash through and see how well we do. I mean, so far the game has gotten a lot of great praise, but that's not too surprising for who made it. NT Creates, who's done previous games that have been to much satisfaction of other people. I don't think I've played any other games of theirs, if not purely on accident. But here we go. Very hashtag Castlevania. Stage 1, Moonlight Temptation. So yeah, we have our first character here, Zangetsu, angry samurai man. You can tell he has kind of a short, like attack that kind of just happens to be in front of him, but an interesting staircase there at the beginning of the game. It almost seems very Symphony of Night, that sort of weird staircase that just sort of wanders off to nowhere. Killing off some zombies there. Zomboys. But I've heard other people's opinions on this game, and I have to kind of agree. This is a pretty awesome game. And if, we can't trust Konami to ever make Castlevania again, it's at least reborn and kind of, recaptured and kind of continued on in essence in somebody else's, and that's perfectly fine. While I was playing this game, I can't say I wasn't just thinking like, oh, this is Castlevania, whatever, the fact that I still may have to catch myself calling it by its proper name. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to keep a counter going to see how many times I slip up and call it Castlevania. But yeah, I guess we could say the same thing about Mega Man, where it's kind of like, oh, we kind of hope Capcom can't make a decent Mega Man game, or any Mega Man game. Hopefully somebody else can, but that didn't work out so well. So luckily this has turned out more favorable for the retro fan and some of us. One thing you may have noticed, which seems to be kind of like almost like a no-brainer, is that hearts refill your goddamn fucking life gauge, and the sort of blue, bottles and vases of magic fill up your weapon score or your mana score, whatever, the gauge on the right side that's below your score. Now we have 20 of 20. So we can use our sort of whip that shoots up, sort of up and diagonal. I suppose each attack has a different amount of mana it consumes, but at least there's no, weird confusion of like, what's with these hearts, and why am I still at 2 hit points? You can tell there's a lot of this stage that is really begging you to come back for a second playthrough when you've unlocked everyone. which I haven't really touched on upon yet. Well, there's a good throw for you. You get 4 characters in this game, all with different abilities and different attacks and different strengths and weaknesses. And a lot of cool little secrets here and there that they kind of want you to take the characters and play back previous levels to uncover. We might do that, but I think first off what we're going to do is just trying to go for the normal scrub playthrough of just beating the game first, and then we'll worry about all that fancy, smancy stuff later. You know, we get at least cross the finish line before we feel too brave to do anything else. Throwing down some totally not holy water down here. They're probably they're like spell scrolls or something. I'm not too familiar with Japanese culture to remember what they are. But yeah, they're like the little spell scrolls, I believe. 4, 4, 4, 4. Interesting. Maybe it is a logo of sorts instead of just numbers. Here we are. Boss of the first level. Pretty awesome. All the bosses are really awesome in this game. Pretty cool design. Sort of the engine or the front of the train here is some insane monster upon itself. And certainly we can kind of stand in front of it and use our whip to kind of add damage, but if we use the sort of soil that it's pulling in, the gravel, we can get some shots off as well. Yeah. But at the risk of using all our mana points, which I don't think is particularly, or weapon points rather, I don't think is particularly too much of a bother at this point. We'll have to see if, at the end of the level, if we're replenished on the gauge anyway, so it's not like, hey, sure, just use your gauge up during the boss anyway. Easy work so far. Done. Maybe with a flawless victory as well. I don't remember. But one thing that's cool with veteran mode as well is that you know, you got that same old school dedicated jump where if you're moving or standing still and you hit the jump key or the jump button on your controller, you're going to move a certain projectile. You know, you're moving in a certain way every time, and you can't really alter your direction mid-air. So if you like that sort of retro control of like, you got to kind of plan out your movement and your actions, then yeah, veteran mode's the way to go. So it looks like after killing that boss, we unlocked a new character. A shard binder of some sort. Wait, it is true that I'm a shard binder, however, I have sworn to be ever righteous in my command of this power. Then show me the proof. Miriam, who I believe is the main character of the Bloodstained proper game that's coming out. So we can change our characters with the right bumper and left bumper. And of course, yeah, there's only some things that they can, Miriam at this point can reach. Then good old Zenketsu cannot. Brilliant. She's got the old Belmont whip. She's got a slide. She's got a high jump. On to level 2. I mean, one thing that they don't quite say that you can kind of pick on while playing is that they have different default strengths as well. So although Miriam has the longer reach with the whip, it isn't as strong as Zenketsu's sword. So some monsters you may have to take like 2 hits to kill, that sort of thing. And as we can tell real quick, I just wanted to make note whether or not our weapon gauge would be at max. It does not appear it was. So maybe, you know, blowing your gauge on the boss isn't necessarily the smartest idea. However, maybe you'll have to look in to see maybe if it's reset to 0 regardless of what you do. So who knows? I suppose when you're talking about, you know, auto-saving between levels, maybe it's a good idea just to kill the boss and just be done with it. Not worrying about, you know, a sort of no-death run, I guess. I suppose there's that. I suppose in the whole scheme of things, not probably the biggest concern that you'd need to, you know, worry yourself with. See if we can ever so elegantly kill that dude. Now we picked up a sort of weird weapon that kind of throws off like three daggers in 3 different directions in front of us. And you can see here the little skeleton buddies kind of show you like the shortcuts of where to go, but you need certain characters to get there. So I suppose we could only assume this is a shorter way to go, or the easier way, but for the second level I don't think we're going to be worried too much about difficulty or anything like that. Picking up the lives. And what's really cool about the lives as well is that you only lose a life if all your party members die. However, they do experience like individual deaths. So if you're mid-level and Miriam dies, you do have to kind of reset, not really reset the whole level again, but like maybe you have to start back at a checkpoint. But I mean, you do get to have individual life gauges. You're not sharing them or anything. So essentially we, in some essences, especially when you talk about our HP, after picking up Miriam, it certainly did kind of double, if not come close to doubling. So it's just a oh shoot, Jesus Christ. Well, there we go. Huzzah. So as I was just saying, luckily we reached this checkpoint, but now we have to kind of continue on without Miriam, so... I mean, we'll get her back if we finish the level, but maybe we should have some patience and fucking kill that little fiery ghost guy before we get too entrenched with things. Oh god. I mean, we can always put it on, I think it was casual mode, to experience damage when being hit by monsters and shit, but and don't suffer knockback, but I mean, why would we be playing this if we wanted to do that? I think as frustrating as some pit deaths like that are, it's part of the game, or at least, part of the genre, part of the experience. You gotta do it. This section certainly could be kind of a little treacherous. Just one hit from those bats, and that would have been of a loss of a life entirely. Now, I'm not sure what happens when you lose all your party members if you start from the beginning of the level with everyone healed or at a checkpoint. We'll certainly have to keep in mind later into the game to see what happens when we do that. I'm sure that will happen plenty of times. Now that sucks. So we have a some sort of weapon gauge or mana item that we need Miriam for, but she's dead. So, yeah, we may have to revisit the level, or in a weird way, if we meet an untimely death, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, We at least be able to go back and... So in a weird way, we're kind of rooting for this boss to render our heads from our shoulder. Some weird lizard turtle boss of some ungodly abomination. I suppose that they're all demons, right? Sengetsu and his weird obsession with demons. Really not finding a great way to even do damage to him. Well, that certainly helps. We gotta at least throw it in the right goddamn direction. Maybe this sort of holy water is not the weapon we want to use either. Alright, so There goes a life. There goes our perfect no-death run, but I'm kind of okay with it. I think I've kind of come to grips with the fact that we at least can get that sort of hidden item again. And actually, as we can tell, when you die and lose a life, you do get to start off at a checkpoint again, so not the worst setback ever. Big MFing axe there. Yeah, so that's going to bring up our gauge on our weapon up 10 more points, so I don't know. You know, I think as much as you're getting free 1-ups in this game through points and other means, I think that's kind of a good trade-off. Kind of sticking with the big axe. I sort of like it, although using the monofort probably not the best idea. However, there we go, max weapon gauge, big nasty axe. So if we can get close enough, I don't see this boss lasting too long. And we have the slide as well, which works just fine, dodging or advancing through those bubbles as well. There you go, eat that. Well, the third hit didn't work out so well, but four hits, I have to imagine that did a ton. Although we're doing a fine job of just soaking up damage now too. There we go. And oddly enough, like every boss has this sort of like suicide attack. Luckily we completely dodged the first one, but not that one so much. And here's our third party member, Old Man Withers. That I would be defeated by a demon. I've been thoroughly humiliated. I am Alfred, the alchemist. Alfred, the homeless old man. He's an okay character. Probably not not my favorite in the game, but he certainly has some of the most powerful spells, as you would guess. Alfred has become an ally. Buster Rod with the X, and you can use his. So he's like on the surface a very plain character. However, his magic abilities or his weapon abilities are far better than anyone else's. So there goes that. On to the third level. However, I think we're going to pause it and play that next time. Stage 3, Brilliant Void. Yeah. That'll do it for this time. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, do all that stuff. We'll come back and play some more Bloodstained in the future.